We all know the story, right? The classic fairy tale ending. The couple gets together, the music swells, and you get that happily ever after text on the screen. But what happens next? Today, we're going to peel back that fantasy to look at how love, commitment, and relationships are really evolving long after the fairy tale is supposed to be over. You know, way back in 1981, the actor and director Alan Alda completely nailed it. He said the most interesting part of a love story isn't the meet-cute, it's the middle. It's that messy, human, sometimes hilarious part where people actually have to work at being happy together.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because as we grow and change, our relationships have to grow and change with us. And that journey, through the different seasons of a long partnership, it's full of challenges and transformations that the old stories just never prepared us for.
So let's dive into one of the most famous, or maybe infamous, of these seasons: midlife. For decades, we've been told to think of it as a time of crisis. But what if it's actually something else entirely? The whole idea of a midlife crisis actually comes from a psychoanalyst named Elliot Jacques back in 1965. He defined it as that big dramatic moment when we suddenly realize we're not going to live forever and we question everything. You know, the stereotype, the sudden urge to buy a sports car or blow up your life.
But here's the reality check. Studies show that only about 26% of people, a little over a quarter, actually have a full-blown crisis. For most of us, midlife isn't a breakdown. It's more of a reevaluation. It's a time for gaining perspective, wisdom, and really figuring out what matters.
And you can actually see this cultural shift perfectly if you look at Alan Alda's 1981 film, The Four Seasons, and compare it to its brand new 2025 reboot. The original movie was all about using humor to get through the day-to-day grind of a long-term relationship. The new series, though, it reframes the whole conversation. This line from a review of the new show just captures the modern spirit perfectly. The idea is that mature love isn't just some feeling that happens to you. It's a conscious, deliberate choice you make day after day, built on all that shared experience and mutual respect. And this shift isn't just about how we see age. It's also about how we see identity. The stories we watch on screen, they don't just reflect our world. They actively rewrite the social scripts we live by, especially when it comes to who gets to be the hero of their own story. For decades, think about it, media often made characters who didn't fit traditional norms into villains. It's a practice called queer coding, where you subtly link traits associated with LGBTQ+ people to being evil or weird. A classic example is the character Him from the Powerpuff Girls. His androgynous look was deliberately framed as something sinister. As the academic Carlos Colina wrote back in 2011, the history of LGBTQ+ representation was pretty bleak. It was defined by harmful stereotypes, or even worse, just complete silence. For generations, that meant so many people simply never saw anyone like them on screen. At all. But thankfully, that script is finally changing. I mean, look at this table. It's based on a study of Spanish teen shows, and it shows this amazing evolution. Early on, LGBTQ+ characters were either hidden or stuck in these tragic one-note storylines. But now, in shows like Merlí or Scum, you have characters who are out and open from the start, and their stories are just about being a teenager, with all the universal problems that come with it. And this is so much more than just entertainment. It has a huge real-world impact. For 1 in every 4 people, the media is their primary way of understanding what it's like to be a transgender person. So moving beyond those old, tired stereotypes isn't just good storytelling. It's absolutely essential for building empathy and understanding in our society. Okay, so as the scripts for love and identity are getting this major rewrite, how do we build relationships that can actually weather all these changes? Well, psychology gives us some pretty powerful clues about what makes a partnership truly resilient. Experts tend to point to 3 key pillars. First, seek solutions, not blame. Instead of pointing fingers, resilient couples team up to solve problems. Second, they communicate assertively. That means clearly and respectfully saying what you feel and what you need instead of just hoping your partner can read your mind. And third, and this one might be the most important, they actively cultivate their friendship. They build a bond of support and human that's the foundation for everything else. And that idea of friendship is just so powerful. I love this quote. It says, "Friends can act like an aspirin for all the stress that wears us down." And this isn't just about having your own friends outside the relationship, it's about making sure your partner is one of your best friends. Building that level of trust and support inside a romantic partnership, well, that's what makes it healthy and resilient for the long haul.
So as our social scripts and our own personal expectations keep evolving, it's really no surprise that the very definition of a relationship is expanding too. The 21st century has basically given us a whole new map for connection.
The sociologist Zygmunt Bauman had a famous term for this: liquid love. He talked about this core tension we all feel today. We crave deep connection, but at the same time, we're scared that commitment might trap us or limit our freedom. The result? Relationships can sometimes feel a lot more fragile, a lot more temporary.
And in response to this liquid world, the relationship map is just diversifying like crazy. Of course, you still have traditional monogamy, but a whole spectrum of other arrangements are becoming more visible. You've got serial monogamy, that pattern of one exclusive relationship after another. You have open relationships, polyamory, even friendships with rights. These aren't just labels, they represent a deep questioning of what commitment, love, and partnership can even mean.
So, in the end, that single, happily ever after story from the past, it's being replaced by tons of new narratives. The stories we watch, the psychological tools we learn, and the personal choices we make, they're all shaping the future of love. So, as all the old scripts fade away, the most important question really becomes a personal one. What story will you choose to live?